continuing to analyze chess in movies and more. The topic of today's video is chess in Max Maximov's short film Battlefield. I'll make it clear for those who don't know it. The whole plot is based on a simple chess game where the white pieces are alive creatures. Not like that. But they're characters with their own backstory and feelings, and the chess game is actually a war for them. We'll judge chess in a video where they play a crucial role and analyze the games. Without further ado, let's start the analysis. It starts with e4, e5, d3. The opening's not that good as you're voluntarily blocking your bishop, but white haven't lost yet. Bishop b4. And that's quite a bad move, which just loses a tempo, because white just has c3 attacking it and forcing black to move the same piece in the opening twice in a row, which is bad in an opening. And it's on the board. c3, bishop c5, bishop e2, which is inaccurate. You could have developed the knight, played d4, but
I need to castle faster. Castle.
King's word is the law. How can we summarize the first 5 moves? The game is going according to the rules, but the players are amateurs, and, to be fair, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable analyzing a game of such level. But because the chance that Levi Rosman will notice the game is a bit less than Boris's profile picture contains the color brown, we'll have to struggle here. Just like you struggled to understand this. But if you know why I said they're amateurs, make sure to drop a like here, and we'll continue the analysis. Knight f6, knight f3, and castles blundering the e5 pawn, which looks desperate, but such moves are pretty common amongst beginners. The white king is still worried about his safety though, and white castles ignoring the opportunity. d5, b4, which is a positional mistake. Don't have your pawns in such formation. Bishop b6, and here white should obviously take the d-pawn, but c4 is played, and now white's a19 h8 diagonal is critically weakened, and if the knight leaves f3, bishop d4 would be winning on the spot. But that's not the most ridiculous thing. The bishop move needs to be found, but they can just take twice on e4 to win it, and now white must take back. Because as I said, the knight should stay on f3 and the pieces understand that. But
I can't take. I don't want to die. This is not happening to me. I'm sorry.
The d-pawn runs forward and black takes the horse. Bishop recaptures, and the d-pawn gets killed anyway by the queen. Bishop takes d4 would be winning a piece, but the move makes some sense. Black think they are forcing a queen trade. But here white can play for a trick with queen b3, and if queen takes rook, then bishop b2 trap, and after the exchange white are still down. They have a queen for a rook and 2 pieces, but maybe they can fight back. In the exchange happened after which black's advantage is decisive, but they take with a pawn instead of a bishop, and they're not only losing the opportunity to win a piece, they're also losing theirs to c5, trapping the bishop, but white fianchetto the bishop instead. And this makes some sense, but it's much worse than c5 and d3, which makes sense, but only if you ignore the bishop trapping opportunity. Knight d2, okay, ignore c5 again, and it's a decent move. Knight c6, knight c4, a very strange move, just blocking your bishop, but white is probably playing for a trick, and after rook d8 supporting the pawn. Black wants to promote the d-pawn, but they're blundering the f-pawn, and their pawn structure gets worse, and the bishop can still be trapped by a pawn move, supported by the b4 pawn, and the bishop can't move away, cause black's pawns on dark squares. White got scared of the d-pawn and played rook d1. Now all that black have to do is to exchange the knight, save the bishop, and that's it. But guess if that happened on the board. You guessed it, bishop g4, and some would say they just offered an exchange. Why are you angry? Sure is a check, and after pawn recaptures, the bishop gets taken for free, and black's advantage becomes much less. And take a guess again. Was that played? You guessed it again. Bishop g4, knight g4, and
Your task is to go forward to try and promote to a queen.
e5, now completely losing the opportunity to trap a bishop. Knight b4, a4, c5, knight d2, I can't explain why. Bishop c7, and finally a purposeful move. Rook e1, bishop takes h2. This is starting to make sense. King moves and bishop d6, rook e4, h5, rook de1, king f8 to prevent a rook check or even checkmate in the future. a5, rook e8. Wait, now out of nowhere, white can take on g7 to get a rook, but obviously this didn't happen. Just a rook exchange on e8. You can still play bishop g7, but after rook d1 white is desperate because black gets a pig on e2, and that's the game. And it happens. A little bit of faith restored. Now the result is obvious, just pawn takes, rook a1 here. Wait, what? How could you play something like that?
It's mate on the next move. Time to resign. Wait, your majesty, take the rook.
And all of a sudden, white has some chances. That's why they say, never give up. Black force a bishop trade, white pieces are now winning. King takes, black force a bishop trade, white pieces are now winning, but black can still fight for it with both knights. Where are the knights even going? Okay, now there's no harmony with those knights, and white get two passed pawns. But wait, it's actually justified by the plot. Black pieces are angry they lost a rook like that, and they're losing their critical thinking. Rook takes pawn, now the passed pawns go ahead. Black, skip the turn. The game was exciting, but now the rules are broken. To be fair, there were a lot of mistakes, but can it at least go according to the rules? I think you already guessed the result, as black can't even play for the fork on f4 if white takes the pawn. You know what? I'll show the remaining moves quickly. They're just pushing the pawns, and now the c-pawn talks kinda emotionally about its past, but then it decides to help white and the game ends while the creator tells us the pawn was promoted. Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe so I update the channel banner. See you later.